Just one night, they promised. Now I'm bound by honor forever. Captain Jackson Reeves had seen enough battlefields to know when a job was too good to be true. The contract was simple: defend a remote village for one night, while their warriors attended some ceremonial gathering. Easy money, they said. The Velari were known throughout the galaxy as peaceful philosophers, more likely to meditate than fight. But as Crimson Dawn's twin suns set over the crystalline spires of Zephyria, Jackson felt the familiar weight of his plasma rifle and wondered why a peaceful village needed defending at all. Elder Nithara, ancient even by Velari standards, greeted him at the village gates. Her elongated limbs moved with fluid grace, her translucent skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that shifted with her emotions. "Welcome, Star Warrior," she said, her voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. The Flame Keepers had departed for the Sacred Mountains. Only the young and old remain. Jackson nodded, his weathered face impassive. "Just point me to the perimeter. I'll handle the rest." Among those who remained was Kessa, a young Velari healer whose golden-flecked skin seemed to glow with inner light. Unlike the others, she didn't shy away from his scarred appearance or the weapons strapped to his battle-hardened frame. Instead, she approached with curiosity dancing in her violet eyes. "You carry much pain," she observed, her fingers hovering near his arm without touching. "Your spirit burns bright, but it is wounded." Jackson stepped back, uncomfortable with the intimate observation. "Lady, I'm here to keep you safe, not for a therapy session." As night fell, the first wave hit. They weren't raiders, they were Imperial purge units, genetically enhanced soldiers in powered armor. Their orders were clear: eliminate all resistance-capable species. The Velari, with their psychic abilities and philosophical unity, had been marked for extermination. Jackson's military training kicked in. He moved through the village like a ghost, his rifle spitting death in controlled bursts. When his ammunition ran low, he fought with blade and fist. When his strength failed, he fought with cunning and rage. Kessa found him bleeding against the central shrine, surrounded by fallen enemies. Without hesitation, she knelt beside him, her healing touch warm against his wounds. "Why?" she whispered. "Why do you fight so hard for strangers?" Jackson looked up at her, seeing something he'd forgotten. Existed genuine compassion. Because someone has to. As dawn broke and the last Imperial fell, something ancient stirred in the shrine's crystal heart. The flame of binding, dormant for millennia, recognized a worthy guardian. Unbeknownst to Jackson, his blood spilled in defense of the sacred ground. Had completed the oath of the flamed Elder Nithara, emerged from the shrine, her patterns now blazing with prophetic fire. "It is done," she whispered. "The Star Warrior has bound himself to our people. The ancient ways have chosen him." Jackson felt it then, a warmth spreading through his chest, connecting him to every Velari life he'd saved. The simple overnight job had become something far more complex. He was bound to these people, not by contract, but by something deeper than law or custom. Looking at Kessa, who watched him with wonder and growing affection, Jackson realized his life had just taken a turn he never could have anticipated. The binding ceremony took place 3 days later, though Jackson barely understood what was happening. Kessa served as his guide, explaining the intricacies of Velari culture as they prepared for the ritual. Her presence had become a constant comfort, her gentle wisdom balancing his warrior's pragmatism. "The flame chose you," she said, adjusting the ceremonial sash across his shoulders. Her fingers lingered on his chest, and he felt that strange warmth again. It seized the protector's heart beneath the soldier's armor. Jackson caught her hand, studying her delicate features. "And what do you see?" "A man who's forgotten how to hope," she replied softly. "But we can change that." Their moment was interrupted by the arrival of Commander Vex Thorn, the Imperial officer leading the purge operations. His holographic projection materialized in the village center, his augmented features twisted with rage. "Surrender the human," Thorn demanded. "He has interfered with Imperial Directive 7 Alpha. Compliance is mandatory." Elder Nithara stepped forward, her patterns flaring with defiance. "The Star Warrior is under our protection. He has sworn the oath of the flame." "Then you all die," Thorn snarled before cutting the transmission. Jackson turned to the assembled villagers, seeing fear in their luminous eyes. These weren't warriors. They were healers, artists, philosophers. The approaching Imperial fleet would crush them without mercy. "We're leaving," he announced. "Pack what you can carry. We'll find somewhere safer." "No." Kessa's voice was firm. "This is our home. Our ancestors' spirits dwell here. We cannot abandon the sacred sites." "Then you'll die here," Jackson said bluntly. "Not if we learn to fight," spoke Riven, a young Velari whose bioluminescent patterns pulsed with determination. "Teach us, Star Warrior. Show us how to protect what we love." Jackson looked around the circle of faces, seeing courage kindling in their eyes. Slowly, he nodded. "Training starts now. We have maybe a week before they return in force." The days that followed were intense. Jackson pushed the Velari hard, teaching them tactics, weapon handling, and the brutal realities of combat. Kessa proved surprisingly adept with energy weapons, her healer's precision serving her well as a marksman. During quiet moments, their relationship deepened. She would tend his training injuries, her touch lingering longer than necessary. He would share stories of distant worlds, watching her eyes light up with wonder. One evening, as they sat beneath Zephyria's aurora-painted sky, she traced the scars on his arms. "Each one tells a story," she murmured, "of battles won and losses endured." "Mostly losses," Jackson admitted. "I've been fighting so long, I forgot what I was fighting for." "Now you know," Kessa said, leaning closer. "You fight for us, for home, for hope." Their first kiss was gentle, tentative, but it carried the weight of destiny. As their lips met, Jackson felt the flame bond pulse stronger, connecting him not just to Kessa, but to every Velari life he'd sworn to protect out when Imperial ships appeared on the horizon. The transformed village was ready. What had been a peaceful commune was now a fortress, its defenders united by purpose and led by a human who'd found his calling among the stars. "Let them come," Jackson said, Kessa's hand warm in his. "We'll show them what the bound can do." Word of the human who'd bonded with the Velari spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Some called him a hero, others a dangerous radical. Ambassador Zara Blackwood, a sharp-minded human diplomat, arrived on Zephyria with an offer that could change everything. "The Terran Federation wants to help," she explained, her professional demeanor barely concealing her fascination with Jackson's situation. "But they need assurance that this won't escalate into a full-scale war." Jackson studied the elegant diplomat, noting the way her eyes lingered on his scars. "War's already here, Ambassador. The Empire's not going to stop with one village." "Which is why we need allies," Kessa interjected, her hand finding Jackson's shoulder. Her touch had become possessive lately, especially around other humans. "The Corvani clans have agreed to meet with us." The journey to the Corvani homeworld tested their growing fleet of refugee ships. Jackson and Kessa shared quarters aboard the lead vessel, their relationship evolving from desperate attraction to something deeper. She would wake from nightmares about losing him, and he would hold her until the trembling stopped. "I never imagined love could feel like this," she whispered against his chest one night. "So fierce it frightens me. Love's supposed to be scary." Jackson replied, stroking her luminescent hair. "Means it matters." Chieftain Corvain, a reptilian warrior whose scales bore the marks of countless battles, greeted them with skepticism. Humans have betrayed us before, he growled. Why should we trust this one? Because he's not just human anymore, said Serafina, a Velari strategist whose tactical mind rivaled any military academy graduate. The flame bond has changed him. He thinks like us, feels like us. The negotiations were tense. Corvani culture valued strength above all else, and they tested Jackson repeatedly. When words failed, he challenged their champion to single combat, earning their respect through blood and skill. Ambassador Blackwood watched the proceedings with growing concern. You're becoming something other than human, she told Jackson privately. The Federation is worried about your loyalties. My loyalties are to the people who need protecting, Jackson replied firmly. Human or otherwise. As if summoned by his words, Imperial agents struck. The attack was swift and brutal, targeting the negotiation site with precision strikes. Jackson fought alongside Corvani warriors, while Kessa coordinated the defense from the command center. In the chaos, Blackwood was captured. Her final transmission crackled with static. Tell the Federation. The Empire's moving on core worlds. This is bigger than we thought. Jackson felt the flame bond pulse with urgency. Every Velari in the galaxy was calling to him, their voices a symphony of fear and hope. The Empire's final purge had begun, and only the growing alliance stood between them and galactic genocide. We need to move faster, he told Kessa as they escaped the burning Corvani stronghold. Gather every ship, every warrior who'll listen. The Empire's not going to give us time to build slowly. Kessa nodded, her patterns blazing with determination. Then we'll build an army on the run. The flame guides us, my love. It won't let us fail. As their fleet jumped to hyperspace, Jackson wondered if love and duty could coexist in a galaxy at war. The bond he shared with Kessa was becoming his anchor, but it was also his greatest vulnerability. The Empire would use it against him, he was certain of that. But looking at her fierce beauty, seeing the way she commanded respect from hardened warriors, Jackson knew he'd chosen his side. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The Alliance fleet had grown to over 200 ships, a ragtag collection of refugees, rebels, and warriors united by desperation. Jackson found himself commanding not just battles, but hearts and minds across dozens of species. The weight of awe. Leadership pressed down on him, especially as Kessa took on more dangerous missions. You can't protect everyone, she told him after a particularly brutal engagement with Imperial forces. Her healing abilities had saved countless lives, but each use left her weaker. Including me? Watch me try, Jackson replied, pulling her close. Their stolen moments together had become precious, passionate encounters that reminded them both why they fought. General Malachar, the Empire's most ruthless commander, had taken personal interest in crushing the rebellion. His flagship, the Iron Fist, had destroyed 3 allied worlds in as many days. During a strategy meeting, disturbing intelligence arrived via Thane, an elderly Velari, elder who'd survived the purge of his homeworld. Malachar has a weapon, Thane reported, his patterns dim with exhaustion. Something that can sever the flame bonds. He's planning to use it on you, Star Warrior. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Alliance. Without the flame bond, Jackson would lose his connection to the Velari, and their unity would shatter. Worse, it might kill him outright. The bond had become so integral to his life force that removing it could prove fatal. Captain Dex Morrison, a gruff human rebel who joined their cause, voiced what everyone was thinking. We need to hit him first. Take out that weapon before he can use it. It's a trap, Kessa said firmly. Malachar wants you to come to him. He's using the threat to draw you out. Then we give him what he wants, Jackson decided. But on our terms. The plan was audacious. A 3-pronged assault on Malachar's fleet. while it was resupplying at the Imperial Depot of Nexus Prime. Jackson would lead the main assault, while Kessa coordinated the rescue of captured allies. It would be their most dangerous mission yet. The night before the battle, Jackson and Kessa made love with desperate intensity, as if they could bind their souls together through touch alone. Afterward, lying in each other's arms, they spoke of futures they might not live to see. "If something happens to me," Kessa whispered, "promise me you'll remember why we started this. It wasn't just about survival, it was about hope." "Nothing's going to happen to you," Jackson said fiercely. "I won't let it." "You can't control everything," she replied sadly. "Sometimes love means letting go." The Battle of Nexus Prime was everything they'd feared and more. Malakar's weapon, massive psionic disruptor, tore through their fleet like paper. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes, while the Alliance fought desperately to reach the weapon. Jackson's strike team breached the Iron Fist's hull, fighting corridor by corridor toward the command center. But it was Kessa who reached the weapon. First, her healing abilities allowing her to interface with the alien technology. "I can shut it down," she transmitted, her voice strained with effort. "But the feedback will. It will kill me." "No." Jackson's voice cracked with anguish. "There has to be another way." "There is no other way," Kessa replied, love and sorrow mingling in her tone. "The flame chose you to lead, my Star Warrior. Lead them to victory." The explosion that followed lit up the void like a newborn star. When the light faded, the weapon was gone, and so was Kessa. Jackson felt the flame bond shift, carrying her essence into the collective consciousness of their people. Standing amid the wreckage of victory, Jackson realized that love's greatest sacrifice wasn't dying for someone, it was living without them, carrying their memory forward into an uncertain future. 6 months after the Battle of Nexus Prime, the Alliance had become a confederation of free worlds. Jackson stood in the Memorial Garden on New Zephyria, the relocated Velare homeworld, watching young Luna play among the crystalline flowers. The child's laughter reminded him of Kessa's joy, a bittersweet comfort. "She would have loved this place," he murmured to the memorial crystal that held Kessa's memory patterns. Emperor Nexus Prime, the final inheritor of the dying empire, had retreated to the galactic core with his remaining forces. Intelligence suggested he was developing a weapon that could destroy entire star systems. The war was far from over, but the Alliance had proven that hope could triumph over tyranny. Admiral Cassidy Vale, a former Imperial officer who defected after witnessing the Empire's atrocities, brought the latest reports. "Nexus Prime's fortress is impenetrable," she said, her scarred face grim, "but we found a weakness. The quantum stabilizers maintaining his power source are vulnerable to Velare psionic abilities." "A suicide mission," Jackson observed. "Whoever goes in won't come back." "Not necessarily," Vale replied. "With the right team, the right timing." Jackson felt the flame bond pulse with collective will. Thousands of Velare voices whispered in his mind, offering their lives for the greater good. But he also felt Kessa's presence, her love tempering his warrior's instincts with wisdom. "No more martyrs," he decided. "We find another way." The solution came from an unexpected source. Luna, despite her youth, had inherited powerful psionic abilities from her healer mother. She could commune with the flame essence in ways that even Elder Nythera couldn't fully understand. "Kessa's spirit guides us," Luna said simply. "She says the Emperor's weapon feeds on fear and hatred. But love burns brighter than any dark star." The final battle took place in the void between galaxies, where Nexus Prime's fortress hung like a mechanical planet. Jackson led the assault personally, carrying a fragment of Kessa's crystal in his armor. Her presence filled him with strength, her love burning away doubt and fear. When they breached the Emperor's sanctum, Nexus Prime revealed his true nature, a fusion of machine and corrupted flesh, sustained by the suffering of countless worlds. His weapon charged with malevolent energy, ready to tear reality itself apart. "You cannot stop what was always meant to be," the Emperor snarled. "Entropy conquers all." Jackson smiled, feeling Kessa's warmth flow through the flame bond. "You're wrong. Love is the only force that grows stronger when shared." The Valari concentration of the Alliance focused their combined will through Jackson, using him as a conduit to channel pure life force into the Emperor's weapon. Instead of destroying, it transformed, turning the device into a beacon of renewal that would help heal the galaxy's wounds. Nexus Prime's death scream echoed across dimensions as his fortress collapsed into light. When the brilliance faded, the galaxy was free. Years later, Jackson stood again in the Memorial Garden, now accompanied by representatives from 100 worlds. The Confederation had grown into something beautiful, a union based on mutual respect rather than domination. Luna, now a young woman with Kessa's gentle wisdom and her own fierce spirit, approached him. "She's proud of you," she said softly. "The flame carries her joy." Jackson nodded, feeling the truth of it. Kessa lived on in every life saved, every world freed, every child who would grow up knowing peace. Their love had become something larger than personal happiness. It had become hope itself. As the twin suns set over New Zephyria, Jackson felt the flame bond pulse with contentment. He was no longer just a mercenary looking for his next job. He was a guardian of the light, keeper of the flame, and though Kessa was gone, her love would guide him through whatever challenges lay ahead. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders yet to be discovered. And somewhere in the dance of starlight and shadow, their story would continue, eternal as the flame that bound them all.